A progressive Democrat and a moderate Democrat clashed in a tense Senate debate in Michigan last night. Congresswoman Haley Stevens and Dr. Abdul did not hold back while squaring off on campaign funding, Israel, and much more. Here is a sampling.
I'm the only one on this stage who doesn't have a talent agent trying to pitch me for paid speeches. And unlike my opponent, I'm not running at the first mic or camera I see.
Not one of those ads was brought to you by the Congresswoman's campaign. All of them brought to you by corporate PACs and AIPAC, trying to buy a politician who's going to do their bidding instead of yours. The Congresswoman needs to answer is, why has she allowed $40 million of outside spending, the bulk of it coming from AIPAC, to come into this race?
What my opponent needs to answer is, why is the GOP spending thousands of dollars to prop up his campaign, saying that he will make Mike Rogers the next U.S. Senator?
If Congresswoman Stevens makes it, or Mike Rogers wins, either way, Israel will win.
Look, I worked really hard to make sure that Kamala Harris was going to get elected and that Donald Trump would be stopped. And my opponent did nothing.
We've got to build a movement of people to get money out of politics, put money in your pocket, and pass Medicare for all.
I am fed up and fired up. I am fed up with Michiganders getting screwed over by bad policies that are coming down from the Trump administration.
CBS News congressional correspondent Nikole Killion joins us now from Lansing, Michigan. Nikole, great to have you with us. What's the aftermath of that big and fiery at times debate?
Yeah, well, I think that mashup really encapsulated some of the highlights there. I mean, look, this is a chance, really one of the last chances before this August 4th primary for each of these candidates to define themselves and define each other, especially now that this race is down to two. Of course, you'll recall just earlier this week, State Senator Mallory McMorrow suspended her campaign. She kind of ran in the middle of both of these candidates, with Haley Stevens being more to the moderate side of the party, whereas El Sayed represents the more progressive side of the party. So that being said, they're also trying to woo her supporters as well. So this was really about trying to, again, define each other in this race. Of course, El Sayed described himself as someone who wants to keep money out of politics, who will be this Washington outsider. He called himself a threat to politics and said this is why Chuck Schumer and Donald Trump don't want him in the U.S. Senate. Haley Stevens, on the other hand, of course, is currently serving in Congress. She's a four-term congresswoman, so she really pointed to her record working across the aisle, saying that we need a workhorse in the U.S. Senate, not a show horse or a celebrity senator. They were also questioned, in addition to Israel, they were questioned about affordability, AI, immigration enforcement, where they did spar at times. They were also asked about the future of the Democratic Party repeatedly, especially in light of some of those Democratic socialist wins that we have seen, these anti-establishment candidates who have come to the fore in places like Colorado, New York, D.C. That is something I asked both candidates about after the debate as well. Take a listen.
Do you think the party is going too far left?
Well, look, I am concerned about policy making by Twitter, and my opponent has failed to win any election. He has failed to win a tough race. This is a toss-up.
We stand with unions. We guarantee health care. We take on oligopolies and monopolies. I think that has to be the pathway forward. That's not, quote-unquote, progressive policy. That's just good policy for people.
Of course, both of these candidates are trying to garner some momentum coming out of this debate. El Sayed announced that he will be campaigning later this month with Bernie Sanders and Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, both of whom have endorsed El Sayed. Also, Haley Stevens, she is touting a new poll that is recently out. This is just one poll, though, mind you, which shows her now edging out El Sayed just by a point. But now that this is a two-person race. So, again, each candidate trying to, run with the wind behind their sails at this point after last night's debate. And a lot is at stake here, because whoever wins this primary come August 4th will take on Mike Rogers, the Republican in this race, who is running unopposed. Of course, Democrats really want to try to hold on to this seat if they want to stand any chance of trying to regain control of the Senate major.
Nikole Killion, thank you so much. Michigan is a hold state for Democrat Gary Peters, the incumbent Democrat not seeking re-election.